Southwest Fire Academy was established in 2015 as a response to the recognized need for quality, safe, and affordable fire and rescue training in Ontario. This is not your average fire college. SFA has high standards for their students, and it is their mission to teach and produce qualified, ambitious firefighters who are prepared to work hard to serve their communities. This is not a diploma mill. This is where you can learn strategic, aggressive firefighting from passionate, intelligent instructors who never forget why they were made to do this job. SFA is an accredited private career college that is regulated by the Ministry of Training, colleges, and universities, with a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Fire Marshal. This means that SFA is an approved training provider with the OFM, and the programs are recognized in Ontario. Check out their pre-service and expanding selection of course offerings at southwestfireacademy.ca. Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 108 of Multiple Calls. I'm Scott Hewlett. We're going to football practice, but we aren't going to use a football. Here's a teddy bear. And we aren't going to use the field, we'll use the gymnasium. And don't wear your pads or your helmet. And no hitting allowed because someone might get hurt. Stay in the huddle so we know where everyone is and no one will get confused. No, we don't use a playbook because every game's different. The Super Bowl's this Sunday. You'll figure it out when you get there. Just get out there and get it done. Here's my chat with Marcos Orozco. So kick off by telling me where you grew up and tell me a bit about your family.
My parents got divorced when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I grew up with my dad. My brother grew up with my mom. So we were never super close or anything like that. Then we grew up outside of Dallas, Fort Worth, or I did anyway. Played football, ran track, and played baseball all the way through high school, and then ran track at Arizona State for freshman year. I got into fitness pretty much because I interviewed my dad a few years back and just kind of wanted to see what his take was of me growing up. Kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time. And he said at age 12 that I wanted a gym membership really bad. You got all the magazines with all the workouts and all the bodybuilders and stuff. So I would have all of them clipped out and everything. And he said, I'll make you a deal. If you go every single day, I'll pay for it. And he told me, he goes, literally, you went every single day, like, whether you rode your bicycle there and then rode a bike home, or we'd take you there and you'd ride home, or vice versa, like you never missed a day. So thanks to my dad, I've been into fitness since I was 12 years old. Obviously, that kind of translates to what I do now.
How were things academically for you at school?
I was good. I think I was A's and B's. One, you have to do decent grades to play sports. And then my dad would make me a deal like, hey, if you get all A's on this report card, you get to buy any stereo you want, like stereo system for your room or whatever, back in the day when it was like systems and stuff like that. So yeah, grades were good, but I mean, no issues when I applied myself, obviously.
You ran track too?
Yeah, so my event was the 4x4 and the 400. That's what I ran in college as well.
And what were you doing sports-wise outside of the organized stuff?
Nothing really. In high school and junior high, that was all consuming, whether it was baseball, football, or track. And then outside of that, like once I got to college and stuff, just regular weightlifting and stuff like that. And then recently, like 3 or 4 years ago, started messing around with jiu-jitsu and stuff like that.
You skated for a bit?
Back in the day, Gleaming the Cube. We were just talking about this movie back in the day for like the older guys like us. I don't know if you remember it or not, but like Tony Hawk was in it and stuff. And we skated all over the place back in the day.
Yeah, Bones and Thrasher magazine.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
The whole thing. Nice to see it's still going pretty strong, and there's some pretty cool Instagram pages guys are doing some ridiculous stuff.
Even kids, man. Some kids these days are ripping tricks that like most adults couldn't do back in the day. It's nuts.
What about guides and mentors? Your dad, obviously, but anybody else?
Yeah, my dad for sure. I get my strong work ethic from him. He was from Mexico, and he just always instilled that strong work ethic. And I've had some good mentors along the way coming up in the fire service, right? So, captain from Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue, Kevin Gall, he kind of took me under his wing and basically allowed me to work with his group and basically kind of got me into teaching. So I thank him for that, man. He let some guy that he didn't even know because of a friend work with his group, and then he kind of just took me under his wing and stuff. The rest is history, but yeah, I thank him a lot on the daily for that opportunity.
Did you try a bunch of different jobs before you got exposed to the fire service?
Oh yeah, man. So, from waiting tables to bartending to Bartending was the best thing because cash money, right? Anything with cash money was always good. So I bartended through college. And then when I graduated college, I moved to South Beach because my cousin was living there, never been. And I just started bartending again. And it was just cash over hand over fist, man. It was a whole different lifestyle. Work all night, sleep all day, drinking all the time. And then I finally said, you know what? I probably should do something growing up because I don't want to be that 40-year-old bartender at the club in South Beach still. And then I had a couple friends that were firefighters, and like I never grew up wanting to be a fireman. That wasn't in my like path, right? I didn't have any family in the fire service or anything. So a couple of buddies were firefighters, are like, dude, you like fitness? Schedule's great. You probably like it. Check it out. And in Florida, we got to put ourselves through fire academy and EMT school. So that's what I did. In '06, I went to fire academy and got hired in '08.
How'd that experience go?
Fire academy was cool. I went to the part-time fire academy because I was still bartending. And I know you could get demerits for like being late. This is how my brain works. I'm like, I'm on the bartender schedule, working all night. There's no way I'm making Monday through Friday at like 7 a.m. So I went through the part-time one, and it was great. PT was no issue, no factor. It was just a good time.
How did they first expose you to the career then?
Once you're in the fire academy, right, you hear all the people talking about, hey, so-and-so's hiring, put an application, right? And then once I got my EMT, I applied to a city department down in the Keys. And that was the first place I applied and first place that hired me in '08. And for those of you guys who remember, man, '08 was like where everybody had freezes for a long time. Nobody was hiring. A couple guys here and there, and they'd have thousands of people. So I was super fortunate to get hired in '08.
How were the rookie years?
It was different down there, man. Literally, hey, you start Monday and you started on the job. Like there was no recruit school back then. It was on the job training. So probation wasn't really a thing back then. It was a one station department down in the Keys. 4 guys took care of the city. So it was way different than now. They're a little different now. But like when I switched to a city department up in South Florida in Palm Beach County area, that was a legit recruit school, legit probation. You literally were like fearful of losing your job till day 366. We had 2 guys that got fired on day 365. I like that, right? Have the standard, hold to the standard and keep it. But throughout the years, it just kind of the standards started going down, down, down. We had weekly modules or monthly module tests, and they'd email the entire department of what grades you got. My guy's kicking your guy's ass and this and that. And they put a stop to that. So it was a little different back then.
At least you knew when you graduated that you earned it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were proud. You felt like I accomplished something. We lost a lot of people in that academy.
Where was your fitness at if you had to sort of compare the academy to now? Have you actually increased and improved over the years, or were you kind of peaked at that point?
No, it's for sure definitely increased. I mean, I've always been into fitness, right? You know, you have ebbs and flows. When I was drinking all the time, my fitness maybe wasn't as good as it is now. But I've been working out in gear for over 15 years, but definitely way more fit now just because I've been in gear for so many years that it's like zero factor. And that's kind of what I'm super proud of. And like kind of what I'm known for is the gear workouts and training in gear. And not only just working out in gear, right? Because there's guys that can work out in gear and then they have zero fire skills, right? But being functional on the fire ground and how that translates to performance on the fire ground. So I'd say I'm way more fit now for sure.
Are you getting a lot of pushback with the PFAS?
Yes and no, right? So it's funny. I always like to say, like, the people complaining about the PFAS were never training in gear before they find out about PFAS, and they're not going to be training in gear when we have PFAS-free gear, right? I'm not a scientist. I've done some research on it. I mean, it's literally in everything. Tap water, all the Carhartt stuff that all the guys like to wear, it's in that. All the hunting gear, anything Gore-Tex, it's in everything. It's literally in everything, right? And then my favorite is most of these guys that are complaining about it chew tobacco or dip. It's like, all right, man, like that is 100% for sure linked to cancer, right? 100%. Like PFAS, they're trying to figure it all out, right?
And then the Teflon pans and the soap we're using. It's not to say that we shouldn't worry about it in anything. We should start to hit the high points. And
it's like pick what you want, right? You don't get to just pick and choose what you're worried about PFAS in. So I just try to explain it to them, and then I've done a bunch of research and had guys way smarter than me that prove like that have research scientifically backed of what it does to you physiologically, mentally, down to the cellular level, what happens when you put gear on, right? And it's not Marcos's opinion. This is all like scientific stuff and research that we've done. So it's like, you're not going to rise to the occasion. I mean, that's scientifically proven. It's not going to happen, right? Like Jocko talks about all the time. He made his training harder for his guys before they went to war. So when they went to war, it was easier than what the training he put them through. Long-winded question. I get some pushback, but like I always tell them, hey, do you want the guy that's training in gear to come save your family, or do you want the guy that's recliner jockey to come save your family? We all know the answer.
We're almost already at a disadvantage. Not some places can't do acquired structures, or they're not even doing Class A anymore. They're on a propane, and there. I mean, there's benefits to propane props. I mean, that's not. I'm not shooting those down, but some guys don't even get Class A burns anymore.
Most fire academies I've taught at and teach at now, like you can't burn hotter than 500 degrees in a Class A fire, right? And then you got to vent it and stuff. I'm like, well, what fire have you guys ever been to that's only 500 degrees, 700 degrees? Right? I mean, then it falls back to the physiological stuff about it, right? You go to 1200, 1800 degree fire, what are you going to do? You're going to freeze, 100% guaranteed because you've never experienced that before. So we put on live fire stuff here, and everybody that's been to ours is like, I've never been in anything this hot. And now we do it all safe, right? But it's like we want you to experience what a real fire feels like because we all know fire academy burns are a joke. All right, cool. You take a left, whatever, here's pop, shoot it down, whatever. It's a joke.
When did instructing start for you? How long were you on?
So in Florida, you got to be a career fireman for 6 years before you could become an instructor, which I like a lot because my first 3 years, maybe four, I didn't give a shit about the fire service. I was just drinking and didn't really care. I liked that they had a minimum requirement, right? Now there's some young bucks that are super smart and yeah, I can learn a lot from them too, but just for me. So I started teaching, 2014? I actually started at the fire academy that I went to.
When did the flip happen for you when you didn't care and all of a sudden you realized that you should? Like what happened?
So it wasn't like a call or something tragic that happened. It's just you start going to fires and stuff and you're like not performing how I'm used to, like, right? I ran D1 college track, right? I was a pretty good athlete, right? I was used to being here, and then just from slacking and not being used to being in the gear, I was not there. And I'm like, what is this? Like, how do I fix this? How do I address this? And then when I was drinking too, that also had an effect on it, right? And then when I stopped drinking over 14 years ago, that was a whole nother game changer. It wasn't like a catastrophic event, just tired of sucking and not being as good as I was used to being.
What prompted quitting alcohol?
Bartending, you drink every single day. You drink on your days off, going to see your buddies that are bartending, and then you drink after work. And in South Beach, bars close at 5 a.m. and there's always after hours, and you're getting home like at noon. So that was before I got hired at the fire service. And then I got hired, and we were still partying and drinking. I'd gotten a DUI back in college back in the day. Luckily, it was so old that it didn't affect me too much getting hired, but it did affect me a little bit trying to get hired. I never liked the taste of alcohol, never enjoyed it. If I was drinking, I'm getting you fucked up, I'm getting me fucked up, I'm getting everybody fucked up around me, and I blacked out every night. So then I always had to do like the next day apology texts or phone calls, and I don't remember anything. So like they're telling me what I did. That was just getting old, basically. And then I started drinking and driving again. And I've told this, I think, once, maybe twice. I had a bender, like a 2 or 3 day bender, middle of the day, driving my car, hammered, don't remember driving, totaled my car, hit a van with a family in it. Luckily, nobody got hurt. Cops came, fire department was there. I'm not religious, but I do believe like in something higher. And something was looking out for me because I should have got a DUI. I got put in a cab and got sent home. And that was like, all right, I'm fucking done. Like that was the last time I drank. I woke up the next morning and just was done. I said, I'm done drinking. I did it a different way. Like I just cold turkey, just made the decision and that was it. I didn't go to AA or anything. Hey, if AA helps you, awesome. Whatever you need to do, if that's what you want, right? But yeah, that was the last time I drank. January 30th was my 14th year anniversary and literally best decision of my life. My life got infinitely better in every aspect of it by not drinking.
Was it physically tough though? I mean, mentally you just stopped, but physically, did you have any effects?
Again, I wasn't like, and this may sound like, oh, he was in denial. Like I wasn't at work, like sneaking drinks. And I've had friends that are now sober that were doing that, right? They'd go and like sneak drinks or they get off shift and they'd have like the withdrawal shakes and they'd be pounding drinks in the parking lot. It wasn't like that. I just made a decision and said, I'm done. And that was it.
What did you first dive into with instructing?
They call it minimum standards. So I taught at Miami-Dade College Fire Academy. So that's kind of where I started just teaching minimum standards, getting these guys squared away so they could pass the state test. And then back then we didn't have a regimented PT program. It was just like, hey, Marcos is here. What does Marcos want to PT these guys in? And then, oh, Scott's here. What does Scott want to do? So there was just no rhyme or reason, no consistency. So after being there a couple of years, they asked me, hey, would you write a PT program? Because that's my wheelhouse, right? That's what I went to college for. I have a degree in exercise science and kinesiology. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a PT program and they still use it today. So now it's obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but the performance on the fire ground is getting better. Injuries are going down. Like I said, minimum standards is where I started. And then when I got with Captain Kevin Galt, he was doing first do engine ops at the Fort Lauderdale Fire Expo. So that's where I started branching out under his wing, doing that. And then just little by little, just kind of took off from there.
Do you have a favorite topic or tactic?
I'm big on search, basically anything truck work, right? So we call like searching inside truck work. So basically anything truck work. But yeah, big on search, firefighter survival. Those are kind of my jams.
What about promoting? What's your take on that and where you're at right now? What do you want for the future?
I think guys get promoted way too fast, way too soon because they want the bugles, right? I'm a backstep fireman still. And I love it, right? I love it. I don't care about bugles. I could care less. Now, if the opportunity came and it was the right time or whatever, sure. Would I like to run a house and be on a truck? Hell yeah, right? But I'm not chasing bugles. Most people don't, they're not even good firemen for at least 3, 4, 5 years, right? Especially if you're at a slow department, no fault of your own. It's just you're not running the calls, you're not getting the experience unless you're getting out, going to conferences, and still that's not even the same. So I think people need to kind of take a step back. And of course, money plays in everything, right? Everybody wants to make more money. That's why they get promoted or they want to get off the ambulance, whatever. But like learn your craft, right? Learn your craft, be a good fireman, be a solid fireman. I mean, before you start promoting and stepping up. But that's just my take on it. So yeah, I'm a fireman. We'll see where it takes me. I'd love to be in the training division full time. That's kind of my goal because I love training. I love teaching. That's what I'm super passionate about. So we'll see if I get that opportunity.
Tell me about Hardknox and how that got started.
So Hardknox started back in like 2011. It's called Hardknox Sunday. I was basically like a promoter that would host a free workout once a month on the third Sunday of the month. And what I was doing is basically just promoting local gyms around the area that I was in. Not like Globo gyms or anything like that, like mom and pop, like small time gyms, promoting that. So that's where it started back in like 2011. And then I was doing like personal training, boot camps, group fitness classes, things like that. Probably like 2.5, 3 years ago. My buddy and I, Logan, we were talking about, and he kind of encouraged me, showed me how to do it all online to put out preset workout programs in gear because nobody was doing that. There's hardly anybody that does gear programs at all. Logan does it. I do it. A couple other guys kind of are starting to dabble in it, but nobody was doing it. So, yeah, that's kind of where it evolved. He showed me how to do everything on Shopify and we help each other out. We're not in competition with each other. And it's kind of just blown up from there. So I did the first program was the hitters program, 5 workouts a week, 12 weeks, 60 workouts, and it's $50. One time $50. You get an email sent to you with the PDF. Now it's yours. And that's kind of what I lean towards for people who are just starting to get into gear, that aren't in gear a lot, but I have a bunch of smoke diver buddies that are like, dude, you need to write one that's just calisthenics. So because of them asking me, so that's when I wrote the heavy, and it's all gear, all calisthenics, and some of them are like 2+ hours, just barely you kind of workouts. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, and it kind of just evolved, and then try to sell some merch here and there, but I'm not super big on like, I feel like a 14-year-old girl on Instagram trying to keep up with this stuff. That's kind of where it's at.
Have you done the smoke divers? What's your take on it?
I went to Georgia Smoke Diver in February 22. I just turned 45. I was fortunate enough to complete the program. Amazing program. Literally the best training, the hardest thing I've done physically and mentally to date. You come out there super confident in your skills. When if shit were to go bad or sideways, you have the skill set and the mental skill set to figure it out and hopefully get you and your brothers out. So I recommend it highly to everybody. Super proud of that program. Like Chief Rhodes said, you come through that And if you're successful, you get about 5 to 6 years of fight and fire experience just because of all the evolutions we do and stuff. So, and it's no joke. We burn hot.
How do you feel having done it at 45? Do you think you would have been mentally in a place where you could have done it at 10 years or 20 years earlier? Or was that like the right time for you to go?
I had been trying to go. I say try, right? It's a kind of a lazy word. Originally a Florida smoke diver because I lived in Florida for 20 years. That's where I got started my fire career. I had a bunch of friends who were Florida smoke divers. Went the first time, shit the bed on the first 2 minutes of push-ups. I have no idea why. I mean, I knew I sucked at push-ups, but I'd been practicing and it was not an issue. And I got there and I don't know what happened and I missed it by one. The selection process is a lot different, a lot harder now. And then I signed up again. They switched it to a 2-day selection in September, and I already had a trip to Montana planned with my now ex-wife. And she didn't say anything, but I was like, well, I'm not changing my vacation because of that, right? So that's when I found out about Georgia, applied and got in, and that's how I ended up at Georgia. I always say age is nothing but a number, man. Like I was 45. If I could do it at 45, you guys have no excuse at being 20, 30 years old. So yeah, I think I was in the right time, the right mindset. I probably would have been ready like 40 mindset wise because I was still training, getting after it and stuff like that. Just didn't line up or anything. But
Have you been back to help run the program? Because I know a lot of guys do that.
yep, I've been I think 3 classes. This is the first time I didn't go, I think.
Yeah, and the guys do it on their own dime.
Yep, all volunteer. We pay our way, and nobody gets paid for anything. Yeah.
So with the GearWorks, maybe just give me a rundown of where people, obviously you talked about that, the HITR program, but maybe give me a rundown of it, or just talk in general too about fitness for firefighters. I know there's a lot of different things for different people, but have you kind of, after all these years of education and now practical experience working out, what would you recommend for people as sort of the range that they should be operating in? You've got CrossFit, you've got guys doing just calisthenics or bodyweight stuff. Like, what's the wheelhouse of where someone should be fitting in regardless of what type of exercises they're doing?
The first thing is for people just getting into this is just getting used to the gear, right? There's nothing in this world that traps heat like our gear does. I mean, not even the wrestling sweatsuits, the sauna suits, none of that stuff traps the heat like wearing gear does. And it limits your mobility, right? So the first thing I tell people is you need to get used to being in gear. You need to get used to being in gear and you need to get used to being in gear. Now, we're not going to start you out an hour workout the first day, right? But progressively get longer and longer in gear. Just only 10, 20-minute workouts and that's it. That's not preparing you for a fire, right? So just initially just getting used to being in gear and what it feels like to be hot and not want to rip everything off like you're on fire. And then, the whole mask thing, some people are claustrophobic, so they don't like the mask thing. So just trying to overcome that, just getting used to being in gear with the mask and then just getting hot, right? So, and then once you're used to being in gear, you still have to have strength, right? Like you can't just be a calisthenic king and then can't lift 100 pounds, right? So it's a fine balance, right? CrossFit is whatever, it's great. People are working out half naked, right? I always say I could take the last year's games athlete winner and I put him in gear and he's going to be trash. Now he's going to adapt pretty quick, I'm sure, and then he's going to be a monster, right? But I always tell him, I don't care what you could bench, what you could squat. I care how do you perform in gear for long periods of time. Can you come out, swap your cylinder, chug a bottle of water, and then get back to work? That's what we care about, right? That's what we're getting paid to do. So it's just finding that balance. My hitters program has some like weightlifting in it, working on calisthenics, working on getting used to being in gear, right? You got to be kind of well-rounded athlete. If you're too big, like too big and jacked, you're going to suck down your cylinder so fast, and you're going to be done in like 5 or 10 minutes. If you're a little skinny person that has zero strength, you're not going to be able to do anything. You might last on cylinder forever, but you're not going to be able to do any work. So just trying to find that balance. But the initial thing is just getting used to being in gear. That's the biggest thing.
And just body weight stuff in gear, and then you're adding weights or tools on top of that?
I don't do a whole lot of stuff with weights, like with gear, maybe throwing like a kettlebell, some sandbags, stuff like that. But we're not squatting in gear. I'm not trying to get people hurt or anything like that. But functional stuff that translates to fireground stuff. So like scooting to a victim, a dummy, 50 feet, and then dragging that dummy like 50 feet back, and then lunging or doing stuff like that, carrying a ladder, spiking a ladder, throwing a ladder, hitting a tire with a sledge, kind of mimics kind of forcing a door, or 10 calories on the assault bike, real fast as you can, then mask up, right? Because when your heart rate gets jacked up, our fine motor skills go out the window, our critical thinking goes out the window, and we get auditory exclusion. So just getting used to what it feels like when you can hear your heartbeat in your ear. Just getting used to that. And that's kind of like I do a lecture about that, talk about that, and a lot of my workouts, it's not only physically challenging, but it's mentally challenging. Some of it's purposeful and monotonous just to test your mental fortitude, because that's what's most important. Once your mind goes, you're done.
Hey everyone, a quick break to shout out something awesome. Fire Humor Company is the go-to spot for stickers and apparel made specifically for firefighters in Canada and the US. These guys get it. They're firefighters, and they've created a brand that boosts morale, builds pride, and lightens things up after a long shift. From hilarious decals for your locker or Yeti, to off-duty shirts that let people know exactly what kind of firefighter you are, they've nailed the culture, the humor, and the grit. Let's face it, the job's tough, but the camaraderie and laughs are what keep us going. Fire Humor Company gets that, and they bring it to life with every design. They even offer custom stickers, patches, and shirts for your station. They've also run a few coffee funds and know how difficult it is to find great quality and low prices to boost the canteen. So whether you're shopping for yourself or your crew, check them out at firehumorcompany.com and on Instagram at firehumorcompany. Speaking about mental fortitude, how have things been mentally for you with the career, and how do you manage that aspect of your health?
So that's a great question, right? Mental health's a huge deal. It was kind of taboo back in the day, but luckily it's kind of getting more and more talked about. It's a real deal, man. I used to think the same thing. I was like, oh, that's BS. They have weak wills, blah, 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 blah. But now I'm learning more about it. It's a real deal. It's a real thing. Everybody process it differently. My working out is kind of like my therapy for my own sake, right? I don't drink. Thankfully, that's a whole nother thing that compounds the problems with the mental health. And then talking to therapists for real. Like I have a therapist. I don't talk to her as much anymore, but still once every couple months or whatever, I can always call her, and finding one that knows what we do, right? Like that's in the fire service, in the military service, in the police service, because just Joe Schmo that went to whatever school that has no clue what we do, it's kind of a waste of time. Like you don't know me, you don't know what I'm talking about. You studied some stuff in class. So it's super important being able to talk to your friends, checking in on your friends for sure, even though we're all like egotistical and like, oh, I'm fine. Just, hey man, love you. You good? All right, cool. Let me know if you need anything. So yeah, that's super important. You got to stay on top of it because you never know what is going to, air quotes, break you or what that last straw is going to be, right? And it might not even be a legit call. You might be watching a cartoon or see a dog die or something. I mean, I'm a big dog lover. So yeah, you never know what it's going to be. And it's going to happen at some point.
How is it within your department, your crew? Is it pretty, have you seen it change over the years? Like you said, it used to not be that way, but you see it improving overall?
For sure, it's a big time improvement. This department I'm at now in Colorado, I mean, they had the therapist come like once, I think it was like once a month to every shift and just talk to everybody, just let them know, hey, there's my resources. We don't need to talk right now, but here's my number, here's my cell phone. Give me a call anytime, and then set up appointments. And like we can have mental health days. If we have big scenes, obviously like the whole fire service, your battalion chief will check on you and say, hey man, I need to go home. All right, cool. And then they'll check on you and follow up with you. Hey, go ahead and call the therapist or whatever. So it's a big change. It's good to see because as we know, that's a huge factor in the suicides. I mean, we lose more guys to suicide than line of duty deaths all day.
How's lecturing been for you? Are you doing that pretty often? Like what conferences do you end up going to? How's that circuit for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started locally. I would do it here and there, but I went to Reno to Tactics on Tap with the Horton and Hunt brothers. They asked me to come out. I don't remember if it was like a year and a half ago. That's like, I think my first big public speaking event. And I got really good feedback from chiefs to probationary firefighters. As you do it more, you tweak it, you fine tune it, and you get more comfortable in your own skin and stuff. And it's been received really well because I talk about basically working out, training, and gear, how that translates to performance on the fire ground, right? So it's a taboo topic sometimes, depends what department you're at or where you're at in the country because of the PFAS and the whole thing, right? And then I talk about being overweight, and I talk about how that's not acceptable, and talk about training and how we're setting up our training's easier than hard because we're worried about hurting people's feelings. Or in South Florida, some departments had a heat index. If it's hotter than X heat index, you can't train outside or do live fire. Well, if you live in South Florida, every day is hotter than that. It's always hot and humid. It's miserable. But if we don't train in that, we're not going to rise to the occasion, right? So I went to Fire Shows West last year. I'm going to Oklahoma, Mid-Atlantic Fools Conference later this year to do the lecture, going back to Reno Fire Shows West, trying to do some local ones here in like Colorado and stuff like that to do my lecture, and also doing hot classes, teaching hot classes and stuff like that.
Were you always pretty comfortable public speaking, or was it a new thing with the fire service?
I don't think I really ever had a public speak, but I was a bartender, so I was good at talking to people. I know it's
Yeah.
different, right? But just being an instructor, you're in front of the whole class talking and stuff. So I just been comfortable talking about stuff I'm passionate about. And it's easy to talk about stuff you're passionate about, I think. Have me talk about something I don't know much about, then that's going to be a different story for sure. But yeah, I think I was just comfortable talking in front of people, and you're nervous first time, but now it's like no big deal. I'm just good to go.
What's your gym setup? You've obviously post workouts in it now and then, but maybe just give me a rundown of what you got in it and how it got built up.
So I got plates, I got a rower, I got an old school assault bike. I got a squat rack here, and then I got a bunch of sandbags, kettlebells, working out in gear, obviously, all the time. A little bit of everything.
And some outside space as well.
Yeah, I have a driveway and stuff. So yeah, so if I'll work out here, obviously I work out at the station. We got everything there, and yeah, I go to a little kind of not a boutique, but a little gym where I can do other kind of lifting and stuff, work on my strength too. Just because I got a 1-car garage, I can't fit everything here.
Do you guys do crew workouts pretty regularly?
We like to try to get crew worked out together. Yeah. Some guys, I always tell people, listen, we'll talk all the shit in the world, but if you're out there trying to get better, I don't care. If you're in shorts and I'm in full gear, I don't care, man. I'll never talk shit about you trying to get better. I've had guys, like old time guys in full gear on air at my new department. Everybody's working out together. Some days we don't all get to work out together, but we try.
What cylinders are you using, or do you move up in size of cylinder as your fitness improves?
We got the 5,500 Scots.
30-minute, 45, 60? Like, what do you...
45.
45's okay.
Building that trust, shared suffering, how do I know I can trust you? Unless I suffer with you and we're getting after it together, right? Just because you tell me you're good or I tell you I'm good, you don't know. But I think it's super crucial to work out together. I'm trying to get where we get an hour out of service for PT every 24 hours because we work 4896s. Just I think it's so important, whether it's training or working out together or something, just building that crew integrity and building that trust. I think it's super important.
How do you find balancing family, the hard knocks, the lecturing, work? How's it figuring all that out?
That's the magic question, right? Because those of us that are passionate about what we do, we want to do it all. I want to go to this conference. I want to teach here. I want to do that. I want to do that. Something gives, right? Something suffers always, right? So I don't have kids. That's a whole nother dynamic, right? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. I think we need to prioritize what's important, and what's most important. I think it's family and home life, right? I think that's bottom line. It's at the end of the day, it's just a job, right? I love my job. It's the best job in the entire world for me. I'm super passionate about it, but at the end of the day, it's just a job, right? I'm not a parent again, but if I had kids, you only get one set of whatever you got. They could be scarred forever if you're never home. I'm not trying to give parenting advice because I'm not a parent. I get it.
I see you got the Fit to Fight Fire flag in behind you there. Do you guys connect? Do you talk to other guys that are out there kind of doing the same thing you're doing?
Yeah, so John Spera, we linked up before I moved out here just by phone. And then when I moved to Colorado, we met up and we're good friends. Solid ass good friend of mine. Talk all the time. Just a great guy. And yeah, Logan Broberg from Rogue Firemanship and I started a class. Our first class is going to be May 31st. It's called the Crucible, and it's a 24-hour class. It's 12 gear workouts in 24 hours, and it's going to be a mental and physical challenge. But it's going to be a little different. Like, it's not smoke diver related. It has nothing to do with smoke diver. There's not going to be any yelling. Like, we're here to encourage you. And in the downtime, we're going to talk about building that mental fortitude and building that resiliency. And we're going to be getting after it with, I don't want to call them students, but the people in the class, we're going to be getting after it with them. So it's not going to just be us watching them, right? So we're going to be getting with them. And there's nothing like this anywhere in the country. So I'm super stoked about it. I think it's going to be a good thing. So yeah, we're all tight. Us three are tight, man. We're great friends. So it's awesome.
It's over 24 hours, the Crucible?
Yep. 24 hours straight. It's 12 workouts, one workout every 2 hours. There's no time limit besides you got to finish the workout before that next workout starts at that, like whatever, 10 o'clock. So if it takes you 1 hour, 58 minutes, you got 2 minutes to rest, but you got to start the next workout then. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
I saw recently with the max pull-up record got broke.
Oh yeah, Truett. He's
Yeah,
an
true.
animal.
Yeah. Are you into that kind of stuff or challenging yourself with PBs? Like taking things that seem like, I mean, obviously like the Crucible, that's going to be a culmination, but have you been into that? You're trying to push yourself beyond what you think you should be able to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not doing pull-ups. That's awesome. That's insane, right? Half the stuff or most of the stuff we do, people think is insane. Like we did 1,000 down-ups in full gear with the mask and air pack one time, me and John on the stage of Red Rocks, because we were like, well, you want to do 500? And we're like, man, we rip out 343 like on 9/11, no problem. Like 500 is not really a challenge. So we're like, screw it, let's do 1,000. So yeah, we do crazy stuff like that. I've run a 100-mile ultra in the sand dunes of South Florida just to challenge myself, push myself. Recently did one bad tour. One of my favorite books is called The Comfort Crisis, and he talks about doing one Misogi a year. There's only two rules: you can't die, and you got a 50-50 shot of completing it, right? Just because our whole life is about comfort. Everything is about comfort and laziness and this and that, and nobody ever really sees their true potential. So I stick to that, at least doing one hard thing a year. But I mean, we're always doing hard stuff. It's just kind of what we do, kind of what is in how my brain's engraved. Like it's just, for example, my buddy that I got hired with out here, he's like, hey, you want to do Pikes Peak Marathon? Okay, I haven't run a marathon in a little bit, but no big deal. Pikes Peak starts at 7,000 feet and you ascend Pikes Peak, which is a 14er. So you end up at like 14.1 and then you come back down. So it's a half marathon up, half marathon down. So we're emailing the guy, and the guy, race director, emails us back. He's like, well, you need qualifying races. Okay, well, I submitted a marathon I did. It was too old. I submitted my 100-miler. It was too old. I submitted a 22-mile ruck we did in Florida for suicide awareness because one of our buddies' friend committed suicide. We did 22 miles in full gear, air pack, the whole deal. And he's like, well, technically that doesn't count, but I have some leeway, so I'll go ahead and count it. And then this is where he didn't know me. He didn't know who he was talking. He goes, I don't know if I should tell you this, but nobody's ever done Pikes Peak Marathon in full gear. I said, Roger that. Call my two friends that were doing the race. I said, hey, we're running it in coat and pants. They said, okay. I mean, I didn't finish the marathon. Like the wheels fell off for me at mile 3. I was cramping from mile 3 all the way to the top, the summit. We made it to the top. I was the last person that made it under time with a minute and a half left before the stop time. And I told my buddies, just go. Because I said, I will not make it down, and I'm not trying to get airlifted off the side of a mountain. And those two guys killed it. And they were the first two ever to finish Pikes Peak Marathon in firefighter gear with the liner. Because people always ask, did you have the liner out? Nope, the liner was in. And we're the first 3 to do the summit. So just to give you an example of how we roll and like the circle of friends that I hang out with, like, okay, you want to do that? All right, challenge accepted. Let's go. Now, I wasn't successful, but it was a good learning lesson for sure.
Are you thinking of going back and trying again?
We've thought about it, but just the date that it is, it's always some fire conference that's happening somewhere. So I'm always out teaching somewhere. So I'd like to revisit it for sure.
You guys sound like you're pretty good at finding and seeking out things like this for yourselves. I guess some people, they do one hard thing a year. It might be hard for them to wrap their head around, well, what is that for me, right? How do I choose that? So it's good that people like you are out there putting things up for people to maybe pick up as options.
That book says like what's my Misogi might be different than yours, right? A 5K might be a Misogi for somebody. Awesome. Cool. Put yourself out there. Challenge yourself. Now, is a 5K a Misogi for me? No. But we're not in competition, right? I'm not in competition with you. I'm not in competition with anybody, right? I'm just trying to get better than I was yesterday, and I'm trying to be an asset on the fire ground. That's what I'm about. I love it. People always message like, hey, man, because I'll post workouts here and there. Like, oh, man, I did your workout. It's awesome. Keep posting workouts and stuff like that. So it's great, man. It's great. Seeing more and more people in gear, which is amazing.
Talk to me about True Grit training.
Me and 4 of the guys here in the Denver area, we started True Grit training. We wanted to put on as realistic training as we could possibly do. So far, we've done live fire trainings, and we are burning hot, like 1,200, 1,500, 1,800 degrees hot. So that way you get real world experience, real fires and you know what it feels like. Like I said, our first one we put on, everybody that was there literally said, we've never been anything in this hot. And that's the whole point. We always tell them we're not doing a whole lot of teaching. We'll give you some pointers after the fact. But when you're burning in a legit fire, the fire is going to tell you if what you're doing is working or not. Like it's not a whole lot of teaching in the moment, right? Are you putting the water on it? Are you staying low, right? Are you getting the victims out fast enough? Whatever it is, right? That's what we're aiming to do. We've put on one this year already. We got another one in the books for July 19th. And then we have a meeting because we're going to put more on the books and we're going to start doing some search classes and some RIT classes because nobody's doing this in this area as realistic as possible. And luckily we have a really good partnership with a local fire department that's letting us use their training facility, and the training chief's awesome. Chief Oster, he's amazing, from South Adams County, and it's just awesome. So hopefully we get to keep that relationship and keep them happy and keep us happy. And we're just passionate about training, and we want people that are passionate about learning to come out and get after it and learn and get some good reps in, real world reps in, and it's just awesome.
It seems like you've been able to maintain a pretty positive outlook in the service and optimistic where things are going, the people you're around. It's really good energy, and that's hard for people to find sometimes within themselves and with the people around them.
For sure. I mean, you know how it is. You could be the most positive person in the world, but if you're around negative people all the time, it eventually starts to take a toll. It's just finding your circle, your niche, your tribe, right? As they call it. And that could be at your fire department. It could not be, right? I have some guys in my fire department and I have some guys that are outside of my fire department. So if you're not finding within your department, doesn't mean the brotherhood's dead. You just got to look further out, man. And it's important being with people that are smarter than you, faster than you, stronger than you, because that way you learn and you get pushed to go to that next level, right? Always want to get better, always wanting to learn, always eager and hungry. Staying humble is key, because nobody wants to hang out around a dick, right? You can yell at me and do stuff, and I don't want to hang around. You could be the smartest guy in the world, but I don't want to hang around you. So just being humble and approachable, I think, is key. And yeah, finding your circle, man. Luckily, I have a small circle. I feel like the older we get, the circle gets smaller, and that's okay. I don't need 100 acquaintances. I'll be down with 5 solid friends that I could call any moment and say, this is what's going on. They're saying, whose car are we taking? That's what I want. But yeah, I'm super fortunate, but you also make your own circle, right? If you're a shitbag, nobody's going to want to hang out with you.
That's a hard thing for people to figure out when they enter the service, I think, sometimes, but how the social aspect of it, how to, they say fitting in, but just the vibe, the energy, how do you manage that? Sometimes it's harder than the job itself, right?
Yeah, 100%. And you got to have thick skin, right? We all like to bust chops and talk shit and everything, and you just can't take things personal, right? Just have fun. This is the funnest job ever. It's just getting paid to hang out with your buddies for 48 minutes. That's awesome.
Maybe run a few calls.
That's it. We just came off the set this morning. We're all talking last night, man. This has been a really fun set. And we did a shit ton of work, training and all kinds of stuff, and it was awesome. And that's how it should be all the time.
Yeah, it's nice that you'll have guys that attack it like you do, have stuff to look back on. If you're just phoning it in the whole time, you're going to reach the end and you really don't have a lot to look back on and remember and having nostalgia for it because you just tried to avoid stuff the whole way.
And like John told me a long time ago, he goes, it's our job to show them what's possible. Meaning the next generation, the young people coming up, it's our job to show them what's possible. And I take that to heart. I still to this day get messages from former students back in Florida like, hey, I got hired. Thank you for, and I'm not saying this to blow up my ego at any means. It just means what I'm doing is right? Because I instilled discipline and fitness into them. And they're like, thank you for showing us what discipline and fitness is, working out in gear. I killed it during recruit school, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, hell yeah. That's when you know you're doing something right? And I always tell these guys, you guys are going to be 1,000 times better than I am because you guys are starting young. And you got hopefully good mentors to teach you the way. If I would have been 20 years old and had a mentor like these guys in my circle, man, sky's the limit, right? But so I just trying to show them what's possible and make them better than I'm ever going to be.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty fulfilling, probably maybe the most fulfilling if you're teaching people and they're questioning whether they're even capable of doing the job at all, and they're thinking they're not cut out for it, but then somehow you guide them and they decide to push, and next thing you know, they become somebody that they never knew they could.
I always tell them, I'm going to push you, and pushes, some people don't like the word push, right? But I'm going to challenge you to do stuff that you didn't think was possible. And like, we'll get done with the workout and I'm like, who here thought that this workout was going to be impossible? Like, no way you're going to be able to finish it. And like, someone will raise their hand. Yeah. Did you die? No. Did you finish it? Yes. Okay. And just little shit like Jocko talks about saying good all the time.
Right.
Like I say it all the time. I've instilled it to all my students since I was teaching. Just that one word, right? It's crazy what 4 letters can do to you. It's raining outside. Good. Oh, it's here in Colorado. Oh, it's -5. We're going to go train. Good. Right. And then the whole shaking your head no, right? We all see it. You're working out and something's hard. People start shaking their head no. I tell them all, shake your head yes. I can. Just tell yourself, I can. Just that little mindset, just flipping the switch. Amazing.
Yeah, they talk about that with the snipers when they would say, don't miss, right? They'd be more likely to miss instead of sending hit, and they're all of a sudden they're tracking right.
Yep. Just like, don't stop. Nope. Keep going. That flip of the thing, right? It's funny. Yeah. So it's just the mind is an amazing thing. And people always ask me stuff about like smoke diver and fitness. And yeah, you got to be fit, right? For sure. But it's what's in here that is key. Because I've seen some of the fittest dudes, when the pressure gets put on them, they crumble because they're not used to being there. We have to get people used to being there, a safe environment, a training environment, and then coach them along the way when they want to quit.
Yeah, they're comfortable in whatever discomfort they're choosing to do. The gym is uncomfortable. That's actually comfortable for them.
I always said, I'm not working out in an air-conditioned gym. Why? When am I ever going to fight fire in air conditioning?
Right.
Never. Never. Florida, hot and humid all the time, 11 months out of the year. I'm working out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in full gear because that's the hottest part of the day on purpose. Colorado's a little different, but still, in the summertime, I'm still working out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out and connect?
Instagram is what I use for networking at Hardknox Sunday. You shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. You can give me my phone number, 786-597-1338. Feel free to reach out, whether it's about fitness, training, working out, sobriety, because I'm super proud of being sober and I talk about it all the time, right? Not ashamed of it. So I've had people reach out for that because it's a real thing, right? So yeah, Instagram or shoot me a text or message or DM. Let's get after it.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate what you're doing. It's solid and you're really inspiring for people. So yeah, keep at it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.